that's it. It's all over. The World Cup is over. This guy has taken home the trophy. Argentina beat France in a penalty shootout after a thrilling 2-2 draw in normal time, 3-3 after extra time, and who knows what after the penalty shootout. France missed two penalties. That's all I know. But yes, it was Argentina who have come away successful, and they have won the World Cup. So we're going to reflect on that, obviously, looking at some of the other hot topics. Oh, Messi, you're also on this screen. What are you doing here? You're spamming me. Okay, Argentina are the world champions, as we know very well at this stage. If you've missed out, where have you been? You must be under a rock, because it is everywhere at the moment. This is everywhere. Referee conspiracy theory. I mentioned this yesterday, so I thought it would be fun to just touch back on this again and see how referee watch went for the final. What the heck was wrong with France? That's a very big question we need to ask as well. They were largely missing for the majority of yesterday's World Cup final, and they turned up with a bang though, which was great. Golden Boot and the brilliant Mbappe. Yes, we will take a look at how Mbappe did in his pursuit of the Golden Boot. Let me see. Messi may not retire from international football just yet. A little bit of a story on that one as well. And finally, tournament as a whole. What did we think of it? And in particular, I just want to talk a little bit about FIFA and what we thought of FIFA as a whole, because I wasn't, spoiler alert, wasn't hugely impressed with them. I really wasn't. Really wasn't. Okay, all right. Okay, so everything has gone off my screen. Let me see if I can bring it back here. We want to have a look at the World Cup. And so this is a very nice view of everything that plays out. So it was 4-2 on penalties for Argentina in the very end of it all. But you can see their route through to the final. You can see on the other side the route that France took in getting to the final. And it all culminated in what at halftime it seemed like a pretty boring match, I have to say. It seemed like it was over. By the time full time came around, I think we had very different ideas on that. And by the time extra time was over, well, it was a shame that it has to be settled in a penalty shootout. That was really what I thought about the whole thing. But let's go from there and have a look at this. As always, just one final check in on the stats and the key components of this match. So it was Mbappe that was scoring all of the goals for France. As you can see, he got a World Cup final hat trick. So little trivia for you: who has scored a hat trick in a World Cup final? Only two players: Kylian Mbappe, so he's a history maker in a sense, and Jeff Hurst for England in 1966. Oh yes, I was checking that on Google yesterday myself. So there you go. Messi, of course, got two goals for Argentina, and the snake Angel Di Maria also got a goal, and he was instrumental in the first goal as well for Lionel Messi. We'll get on to that. Possession, a little bit more possession for Argentina, 48% versus 40%. It felt like, to be perfectly honest with you, it felt like Argentina had a lot more possession than that, I can say. But no, those are the stats, and apparently the stats don't lie. Goals and assists and everything else completely even. Attempts and goal, this is where it does get a little bit tasty. Argentina had 21 attempts on goal versus the 10 coming through from France. And certainly in the first, let's say, 65 minutes or so of that match, yeah, absolutely. I can see where you're coming from. If France even had close to the 10 attempts at that stage, it would be amazing. On target, 9 versus 5. There were some amazing shots. There was one shot, I think it was in extra time, that came through from Messi as well, right on target. Oh, yeah, I tell you what, he did have one or two opportunities to wrap up the match for Argentina and save us from a penalty shootout. But no, we did get a penalty shootout yet again. Some of these World Cup finals have a tendency to do that, and that's the way it goes. Off target, 9 versus 3. Inside the penalty area, 13 versus 7. And outside, 8 versus 3. Looking at the final third entries, yeah, pretty even. The right inside and the right channel, there's a little bit of variance between both of the teams, but nothing really stands out there. offers to receive, nothing massively stands out there. I suppose there is 100 of a difference between the total offers to receive, which isn't displayed very well on the graphic. It could be a small bit of an optical illusion. Receptions between midfield and defensive lines. This is once again where you can see Argentina were completely on top there, 163 versus 69. And then receptions behind the defensive line, of course, much higher as well for Argentina. Line breaks, as you would anticipate from everything we've seen so far in these stats. It's Argentina. Argentina were on top of France in the majority of these. Discipline, you know what? Argentina always bring a little bit of aggression, a little bit of passion, and a little bit of physicality to these matches. And yesterday was no exception. So they really rattled the French from early on. Didier Deschamps basically said the same thing himself. But only 4 yellow cards for the Argentinians and 3 yellow cards for the French. I thought Cunha was lucky to stay on the field. He could have very easily picked up a second yellow card towards the end of the match, or it was in extra time, I think, where I thought he could have been potentially sent off. Passing, a bit higher there for the Argentinians in terms of passes and passes completed. Crosses, slightly more crosses actually coming in from France. That's a little bit of a surprising statistic. Set plays, more corners, just slightly more corners actually for Argentina than France. Free kicks, once again, a few more free kicks going the way of France. But then again, as I said, Argentina bring the physicality to the game, so that probably explains that. And during extra time and normal time, there were 3 penalties in the match. Actually, it started out at Argentina got the first penalty, but France got 2 penalties, and Mbappe scored them both, and he did score in the penalty shootout as well. So Mbappe, and interestingly for Mbappe, he put the penalties in the exact same side, the same position for all 3 of them. And Martinez still couldn't save it. And Martinez is not a bad goalkeeper, as we saw yesterday. He's definitely not a bad goalkeeper at all. At all. Okay. So yes, as we've seen, Argentina are the world champions. Actually, you know what? Let me just take it back. This is nice. I want to show you some of the newspapers, courtesy of BBC. Let's give them credit where credit is due here. And firstly, we're starting out with the newspapers from Argentina. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce the name of Clarín. And there I go, doing it all the same. And they're basically saying gracias, Messi. So thank you, Messi, for what you've done. Very much putting it on the shoulders of Messi there. Amazing pictures and photos, as you would expect, as we look through here. World Cup happiness, they're saying on the front of that one. El Dia is saying champions of the world, I guess. Campeones del mundo. And then in France, you would expect, to be a little more somber. I'm proud of the Blues. Le Parisien starts out with L'Equipe, head held high, and then La Voix du Nord. So the voice of the North in France is saying, thank you for every, no, merci, go on, thank you anyway. A bit, could be nicer. That could be nicer. You could show a little bit more appreciation. You beat England after all, I would take that for a World Cup. If Ireland were ever make it into a World Cup again. In the UK, then, speaking of England, in the UK, the Daily Telegraph starts out with miraculous, magical Messi. Brilliant. Well done, Messi. Messi's moment, the Independent is going with the greatest player, the greatest final, the greatest prize. Greatest final, I'm very much on the fence about this. It certainly had excitement at the end of it, and I know we can get deluded into that, but let's not forget the first 60 or so minutes of that match, where it was all one-way traffic, and France were pulling a bit of a sickie, no pun intended. Daily Mail, the agony and the ecstasy. Of course, Mbappe was a bit of a forlorn character yesterday. What more could he have done? What more could he have done for the French? So unfortunate. Spain, talking about the best in history. I was going to say they'd be slightly biased because, of course, Messi played in the Spanish league, but then again, so did Ronaldo. So there you go. El Pas saying Messi's Argentina is crowned after a memorable final, and yeah, it was memorable. So let's see. This is Brazil now. We're in Brazil, and Informatio Extra is saying Messi deserves it, and people have to put up with that. Yeah, well, that'll be a bitter pill for them to swallow over there in Brazil with Argentina winning not only the Copa America but also winning the World Cup. So that is that's a very bitter pill for the Brazilians. Immortal Messi Old Lobo goes with in the United States. Oh my God, they've actually recognized that the World Cup was happening. Well, they have to. They're hosting the next one after all. The New York Times has a great photo there of Messi. I can't see what it says. Messi Magic. Does it say Messi Magic? Messi Magic. Oh yeah, Messi's magic ends anguish for Argentina. Bit of a mouthful there. Wall Street Journal. Messi lifts Argentina to World Cup victory over France. And that's the end of the newspapers. But that was good. That was good. We can't complain about that. That was some nice coverage we saw there, the different perspectives. Haven't looked at any of the Irish newspapers. I'm sure it's plastered all over the front of those ones as well. So we can certainly look into that. Before I get onto the referee conspiracy theory, no, I'll go there now. Referee conspiracy theory. So yesterday I said before the match, just keep an eye on the referee. I had a feeling, I had a sense that Argentina were getting a lot of soft penalties in particular. Now, when Di Maria went down and got the penalty early enough on in that match yesterday, yeah, the thought did come into my mind. So was it a penalty? Yes, it was a penalty. Was it a soft penalty? Yes, it was a very soft penalty. Not Messi, Di Maria, the old snake. He certainly, a Manchester United fan, he certainly played for the penalty, that's for sure. And, there was very little contact. He made sure that his leg was there at the right place, and he went over and he got the penalty. So, there was no VAR intervention. They didn't decide to look at that. That could, I guess, be the only criticism we throw at it. But I think realistically, if VAR look at that and they refer the referee to the video screen to have a look himself, he is going to say penalty. More than likely, he's going to say penalty. Was there contact? Yes, there was contact. Was it minimal? Yes, it was minimal. Was it enough to knock over Di Maria? No, it wasn't enough. But that's what you get when you have the likes of Portugal, Argentina, Spain, teams like that. They're always going to go 9.9 times out of 10. They're going to fall over, if it's even possible to fall over 0.9 of a time. Then later on in the match, nothing hugely contentious stood out for me, I have to say. The penalties that France got were stonewall penalties, so there was not a lot the referee could do to deny that, or VAR could do to deny that. VAR didn't even come into the equation, to be perfectly honest with you. There were certain elements of play on for some very harsh tackles. As I said, I felt maybe one or two of the Argentinian players could have picked up more than one yellow card, Acuna in particular, but that didn't happen. But I wouldn't put that down to corruption by any means whatsoever. The one thing I will take issue with, and I might actually post a screenshot of this later on, is the third goal that Argentina scored. Now, I'm not going with the old French line here where they're talking in some of the French newspapers today about the fact that there were two substitutes from the Argentina team on the field at the time of Messi taking his shot, which was the third goal, which meant they shouldn't have been on the field, so the goal shouldn't have stood. Whatever. Okay, whatever. Those ultimately they would have done nothing to interfere with that goal, so I'm not really listening to that. It was the initial pass into the attack into Messi before the goal itself. It was offside. It was completely offside. So the initial pass to Messi was offside, and then there was a secondary pass that came before the goal was scored, and that's the one that they concentrated on, and they even showed us the graphic in the TV screen, and that one wasn't offside. It was the pass before that was offside. And I thought I was going crazy. I was like, why is nobody talking about this? So I did actually, I had the recording of the final. I went back and I had a look at that, and I paused it at all of the key frames, and I had a look, and I took a photo on my phone, so I'll post that one up later. Messi was 100% offside. No doubt about it, 100% offside. But no, VAR didn't go back to look at that. The momentum was very much with Argentina at that moment in time. And if that hadn't gone in, I suspect that the Thunderbolt he had a little bit later on would have gone in. So I still think one way or another, we would have gotten the result that we had gotten, regardless of whether or not that goal was allowed. On the day, France didn't deserve it, in my opinion. There was something not quite right about France. They weren't on it, if you ask me. Um, but yeah, I know there are conspiracies. But speaking about France, that's actually a very good segue into what was wrong with France. Um, so the French manager Didier Deschamps has confessed that his side were feeling the physical and psychological impact of the virus that ripped through their squad after the World Cup, or well, during the World Cup defeat to Argentina. So they had lost a number of key players, and I know we spoke about this before, including Upamecano and Rabiot due to illness in the build-up to the game. Um, Deschamps had to take emergency measures to try and prevent a full-blown outbreak before the match. Now, whether or not there was a full-blown outbreak, I don't know. I don't know at all. France definitely looked leggy in parts of the final. Varane, it was interesting when Varane came off the field, it looked like he was utterly exhausted. Now, it could just be a long campaign for him. He's just back from injury as well because he was injured. He may not have been at full match fitness. So all of these things come into play, but he was certainly one of the players that missed training or had to train separately away from the rest of the players on Friday because he apparently had this virus as well. Looking at the quotes from what do you call him, Didier Deschamps. He said the whole squad has been facing a tricky situation for a while now. Maybe that had a physical or psychological impact, but I had no concerns about the players who started the match. They were 100% fit. Okay, so he's come out, he said that. We only had 4 days since the last match, so there was some tiredness perhaps. That's not an excuse. We just didn't have the same energy as in the previous match, and that's why for the first hour or so we weren't in the match. It could have been worse. It could have been better, Deschamps said of the referee when he was asked about the referee's performance. Before this match, Argentina had been a little bit lucky, but I don't want to take anything away from them. They fully deserve the title. It is not because we suffered from any decisions that they came out as victorious. I just discussed this with the referee after the game, but don't want to go into the details. Well, very interesting. Mixed messages coming through there from Didier Deschamps. Yeah, so France really, whether there was illness, whether there was tiredness, whether it was a long tournament, whatever it was, mentally they couldn't match the physicality of Argentina when the game kicked off. I don't know what it was, but there was something not quite right about the French. They did spark into life eventually, and it reminded me very much of the Argentina and Netherlands match, where of course Argentina were 2 up against the Netherlands, and it was only around the 80th minute that the Netherlands had registered 1 shot on target in the entire match, and that's when they came to life, and of course that finished 2-2. Extra time penalty shootout as well. So yeah, these things happen. All right, what do we have up next? Golden Boot and the brilliant Mbappe. Mbappe. You feel sorry for Mbappe. You really and truly do feel sorry for Mbappe. That's what I have to say about the whole situation. So goals, goals, goals. I'm going to start with assists actually, and let me see if I can share my screen with you again, and you can see what I'm looking at. So for assists, we had Antoine Griezmann actually finished on top of the charts. More or less on top of the charts, tied on top of the assist charts with Lionel Messi, Bruno Fernandes, Harry Kane, there he is, even Perisic. So all of them had 3 assists. So that was nothing too surprising there. I suppose the one with Harry Kane is you'd expect him to be more on top of the goal scoring charts. With Messi, yeah, this is what you would expect from Messi. He'd be on top of the assist charts, but he was also pretty close to the top of the goals charts as well. He was on top at one stage yesterday, and then he fell away. Mbappe actually, as you can see, in 6th place, has 2 assists as well to his name. But let's take it to the top scorers. This is the one we all want to see. So, as we know very well by now, it was Mbappe who won the Golden Boot for the French team. So one of the few things that they did win, unfortunately, in this tournament, unfortunately for them. Lionel Messi then, Mbappe got 8 goals, 2 of which were penalties. Both actually penalties he got in the final, believe it or not. Lionel Messi had 7 goals, 4 of which were penalties. And then it was Alvarez next up. So you see there's Argentina 2-3 happening there with 4 goals. So that's 11 goals between himself and Messi. So that's a lot of goals. Giroud had 4 goals as well in the tournament. Morata, I've said his name correct today for once. He had 3 goals. Saka for England had 3 goals. And Cody Gakpo also had 3 goals. Let's see, we have Ramos for Portugal. Just whatever you do, do not Google his name or look him up on Twitter anytime soon. He had 3 goals. Marcus Rashford had 3 goals. Richarlison had 3 goals. And Valencia had 3 goals, almost all of them from the first match, but not quite all from the first match. 2 of them, I think, from the first match of the tournament against Qatar. So it was Mbappe that got the golden boot, and fair play to him. He was phenomenal. If I was thinking the FIFA would be so annoyed, and Infantino did look annoyed actually when France scored at one stage. But FIFA would be so annoyed if France won the World Cup because they wouldn't be able to say this is the Messi World Cup and Messi was the superstar. And the narrative was there, it was ready to be written. It probably was already written in some cases and they just had to release it. But if France had won, you could totally just reverse that and say it was the Mbappe World Cup. He was phenomenal once again for France. Now, you can make all the arguments you want about him not turning up in the first half of the match, but was he getting the service? No, he wasn't getting the service from the rest of the French team. Mbappe was great at the way that the volley for the second goal yesterday as well, the technique that he has, his ability to beat players, his ability to shoot from any angle, the skill he has on the ball. And he's only 23 years of age. He's just a phenomenal talent. So, this wasn't his World Cup, unfortunately. You could argue the last World Cup was kind of his World Cup. I'm sure he's going to have future World Cups as well. There were a number of very young players on that French team as well, so I think they'll be back. Obviously, they missed the likes of Karim Benzema and players like that. Players with real experience that could step up and confidently take a penalty in a World Cup final, as confident as you can be in that situation. But the younger players really struggled in that penalty shootout yesterday, and unfortunately for them, but it kind of took away a little bit from the performance. But overall, as I keep saying, Argentina were the more deserving of the trophy. Very quickly on Messi, he may not retire from international football yet, so he has come out yesterday and he has spoken after the World Cup. I don't have the quotes in front of me, but he was more or less saying that he would like to continue into the next Copa America. The manager was also saying that if Messi wants to stay, he'll put him on the team for the next World Cup now, and in the heat at the moment, it's very easy to say these things. If he's going to be performing like Ronaldo come the next World Cup, maybe not. Maybe not the best idea in the world. So he's not definitely going to retire from international football just yet. He had said this would be his last World Cup. He's kind of rethinking that a little bit. To be honest, I think it should be his last World Cup, and it will be his last World Cup because he'll be just too old for the next one. But he may be still good for the next Copa America, and he's got the love for his country now at the moment. So he's really into this. He's really feeling this. So he's going to go for it. Fair play to him if he does. And similar, we heard a very similar thing as well from I was going to say not Rakitic, from Luka Modric on Saturday, that he definitely wants to stick around until the end of the Nations League, and then he'll see where his head is at for the next European Championships. He won't be around for the next World Cup more than likely, but once again, it hasn't been confirmed. It hasn't been confirmed. What would be subscribers comes up there. Yeah, you go away. You know what would be really good? This is what I meant to hit. If you could hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, or hit the bell to be notified. But if you can hit the like button, that would be really very much appreciated because it helps us a lot. Believe me, a lot. Okay, finally, the tournament as a whole. What did we think of it? I did a lot of soul searching about this, and I had mentioned in earlier videos that I didn't think this was the best World Cup, and there are several factors that came into play. And thanks, Anne had a very good comment on one of the videos that the time of the year, the ability to be out in a hot sunny evening and to be with friends and to be having beers and everything else like that. yeah, that's a very large part of the World Cup experience, and that was kind of missing a little bit for this one, I guess. So for me, that was probably a factor. However, in saying that, let's think about it. The final group games, from the final group games on, it was drama, 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 just non-stop drama. Some of those group games, you couldn't write it. You wouldn't believe what happened in some of those group games. I think back to like Korea beating Portugal as one example of what was happening in the German group, as well with Spain and Japan. Absolute insanity. The knockout stages themselves, pretty damn good as well. We had some really excellent matches in there. We had one or two duds, but you're always going to have that. But in the vast majority, I think of the drama of Argentina and the Netherlands, for example, the spectacle of France versus England, Brazil being beaten by Croatia. Some amazing matches, and the shockers coming through from Morocco as well. Yeah, so it was all good. It was all good. Um, the final turned out to be quite good as well. First half wasn't great, but we had plenty of drama towards the end of that match. So was it the best World Cup final ever? Yeah, it could have been, because in general, World Cup finals aren't that interesting. I've seen plenty of really bad World Cup finals. The way that France beat Brazil in '98, that was not expected, and a little bit one-sided. Germany versus Brazil in 2002. Germany never really looked like that they were going to win that one. The drab one from 1994 that went to a penalty shootout. These are some of the World Cup finals that stick in my mind. Croatia versus France, actually, last time out, that was a pretty good match, but it did feel very much like one-way traffic in a sense as well. So I'm undecided whether or not it was the best World Cup final. It was dramatic. I'll give it that much. It was definitely perhaps the most dramatic World Cup final that I've ever seen, and I'm happy to live with that. I'm happy to live with that. What about FIFA? Well, FIFA are a shower of. I can't say what I think they are. I really already dislike FIFA very much. We've seen the never ending incompetence, the never ending corruption coming through from FIFA accepting bids. The fact that this World Cup took place in Qatar, it should have never happened in the first place. It should have never happened. And the likes of Sepp Blatter and now Infantino. Today, what was that speech? What was that speech? Today I am Arab, today I am this, today I am that. Like, I could give you that speech. Today I am a little bit tired. It's a Monday morning. Today I'm feeling particularly hungry. Today I feel Irish. Oh well, I always feel Irish. Uh, Absolute BS, absolute BS. But the face on him when France scored a goal yesterday, he was really upset about it. So it does once again make me think about, oh, they really wanted Argentina to win this World Cup, because this will overshadow everything that happened. They talk about this as the Messi World Cup. We're all falling into the trap. Look, there's Messi right there on the screen with the World Cup. And that's what it's all about. It's like nobody else exists. It's just Messi and the World Cup. And we can forget all about the atrocities that happened to all the workers that died, the conditions that they lived under in the lead up to this World Cup. Absolute disgrace. It should have never happened. It should have never been held in Qatar. And maybe that's a part of the reason why I didn't enjoy this World Cup as much, because it was at the back of my mind. Why should I care about this? Is it going to stop anything? Even if they don't hold the World Cup in Qatar, is it going to stop the way that the regime there, the government there, operate in terms of shipping in workers from other countries and taking advantage of them and making them live in awful conditions? No, it isn't going to change anything at all. It was just the fact that they brought them in to build the stadia in this case, but they're going to do that for all of their infrastructure anyway. But yeah, it was really, really disgraceful. With the fact that FIFA played along with this, that they accepted the money, that they were happy to sit there, and Infantino, just the way, the stupid speeches he came out with, standing there in his suit and his white runners. What's going on? Anyway, I'm losing the control of myself here a little bit. But the sooner that FIFA are absolutely disbanded and put back together as a competent organization, or just replaced completely, the sooner the better, because they are a disgrace. And the fact they want a 48 team World Cup next time out in US, Mexico, and Canada, 48 teams. Like, we're going to be looking at some pile of rubbish playing in the World Cup, if you ask me. Anyway, I'm still mad. Let's leave it there for now. I am planning to do another video at some stage when I get a chance, just before the Christmas break, before I get away for a little bit of winter sun. Um, I need to have a look at my predictions for the World Cup and see how badly they worked out, because I know for a fact that they didn't work. I did predict France to win the World Cup though, so there is that. I got very, very close on that one, but I think the majority of my other predictions were completely wrong. Um, yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. Thank you very much to everybody who supported the channel during the World Cup. Of course, this is the winning formula. We're all about sport. We're mostly about Formula One. We're all about all the different other sports as well. You know, I'm trying to roll it out a little bit to the likes of soccer and all of that. But yeah, it's been interesting, that's for sure. And I will speak to you very, very soon. And have a good day. Enjoy. No more World Cup. It's over. It's over for another 4 years. So yeah, no more pressure, no more stress associated with World Cup. Now we can get back to the slog of the Premier League or whatever it is we watch. And gosh, I can tell you, the stress of watching Manchester United trying to slog their way through a season. Yeah, coming back on Wednesday. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Take it easy. Speak to you soon.